I thought I could manage my own portfolio. And I discovered that my clients were all outperforming my personal portfolio.
Size per time. You may feel tempted to go and buy a house, but no, at this time, just keep it simple.
The problem for us is that we believe that wealth should be shown. Like now that I've got a raise, everybody should know.
Such an amazing conversation we've had talking about those in their 20s. And we appreciate that this is the largest demographic we have, not just in Kenya, but in Africa. So let's wrap it up so that we get you, clear on what has been discussed around this table. And obviously more is going to be discussed in April when we meet on the 27th for the Financial Literacy Summit. The first thing, get yourself a mentor. Get yourself a good inner circle. Figure out who's around you. Are you growing with them? Grow with them. Get good friends and start going through this journey with them. The second thing for the parents, resist the urge to rescue. Your child is moving from dependence into independence. Allow yourself to let go of the child. The third thing, this is for the 20-year-old, you need to start living off of your passive income. You need to start living off of your passive income. So you will be going out there, you're earning. You need to figure out how much this is, what you're earning, what's coming in, invest it, and out of what you're investing, that's what will determine how much your expenses will be. Your passive income should determine the level at which your expenses are. And lastly, your greatest teacher is the first investment account you will have. Every single shilling you have in that investment account will teach you something new. So that wraps it up for the 20s. Now we're going to move on to the 30s and 40s, and life here starts coming differently. So we're moving into parent. Now you're a young parent, early in your 30s maybe. And you might be parenting either as a single parent or you're in a couple. What does that look like for this Kenyan in their 30s, in their 40s? They have much more responsibility. At this point, they have not only the children they would be having maybe, but also their parents are aging. We call it the sandwich generation. The black tax, as we talk about, the demands on their money are more, but they cannot also lose focus on their own journey and their own journey towards retirement. Let's talk about these people in their 30s and their 40s.
Well, I'll just mention a few. And much as the temptation would be to live according to everybody else, because most probably, you've had a job, you may be earning a little bit more. The temptation is to increase your expenses. You get that 20% raise and you increase your lifestyle by 40%, those kind of things. Well, let's say live below your means. Live below your means. Because this is a time when, you really want to be investing. And it's good to know. Most probably you're going to do the stocks, the bonds, size per time. You may feel tempted to go and buy a house, but no, at this time, just keep it simple. Just go for those, that 10K, 15K, that you're doing on a monthly basis. I think if you take it to Pius, you'll make some, the money is going to grow. It's really going to grow. Yeah. So I think that whole thing of, just live below your means and really just focus on that kind of investment. Yeah.
I think I echo that. In the what do you call it? There's a book called The Millionaire Next Door. It's an old book, and it was a research done on a thousand, I think, millionaires in the U.S. And one of the things that they discovered about the typical millionaire is that they don't look like a millionaire. The problem for us is that we believe that wealth should be shown. Like now that I've got a raise, everybody should know. But they showed that actually the people who actually grow real wealth, they don't. I think the one thing that people need to understand at this age is when you're in your 50s, it looks like a very long time. I remember when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, when I thought of somebody 50s, I thought they're about to die. Because, that's so low. Like, it's like I need to enjoy money now. I won't even be able to enjoy it. But I think the one thing I've come to understand is, I'm in my 50s now. I'm still young. I'm not about to die, unless God calls me home. And I can enjoy the wealth that I created. So the slogan that we sometimes teach at Couples of Money is live like no one else today, so you can live like no one else tomorrow. So if I want to live in the same neighborhood my friends are living in, because everybody has moved to this nice neighborhood. I want to drive the same car all my friends are driving because everybody's driving this car. I want to take my kids to the same school everybody else's kids are. Guess what? When all of them are struggling in their 50s, I will also be with them. So this is a time for you to make some really radical decisions. And I think the key lesson for me at this age is purpose. You need to discuss and discover what your purpose is. Purpose is really the thing that determines for you, when I become a billionaire, God willing, what am I going to do? Because if I'm a billionaire or a millionaire, I can't eat all the money I have. So what am I working for beyond money? Because once I discover that becomes my focus. And I stop hustling with everybody else. I get a longer term perspective. And I feel like when you have a longer term perspective, you don't panic. I can't go to Dubai like my friends for holiday. That's okay. A time will come when those things will happen. So you're able to then now look after the priorities in that season. Yes, I need to settle my parents, because if I don't, we will all sink. So maybe I need to get them on NHIF, and I need to figure out some kind of insurance. Maybe I need to bring my family together and we do a small fundraiser. We put up a small unit to earn mom something so that we don't have to be paying hospital bills every. You have to fight those fires. And if you don't keep a lid on your expenses, like Karo is saying, you will always be resentful. So if you always have that margin, the excess that we're talking about earlier with Robert, that excess allows you to be able to do the things you need to do now. So that by the time you get to a little older, you're at the place where you're not stressed. And one of the mistakes people make at this age, they take their kids to schools that they can't afford, because we somehow feel guilty if we don't do that. But if you remember, it's not the school that makes a child. It's actually the parental involvement. So I could even be looking for a job that takes too much of me so that I can afford to take the child to a really expensive school. And yet that is actually going at cross purposes. I need to be able to have enough time to input into my children as well. So there's a bit of a dance there. The purpose defines. So I stop running after money and I allow myself to seek purpose. And I believe money will seek me. And I think that's how the biblical perspective, seek God's kingdom, all other things follow. I think it's the same thing with purpose. As I seek the purpose I was created for, everything else will actually follow. Yeah.
Amazing. Pius?
I have remembered something for 20s to 30s. And there is no way I can talk about 30s to 40s without mentioning it.
So go ahead.
One of the most profound moments in my life that has continued to impact me even today is when I was around the age of 26. I got into a program of self-discovery to define my success. How does my success look like? And there's a whole content around it on YouTube. I won't go into it, but I'll just share what my insight was. My insight was the one thing that I did not want to change, regardless of success in everything, is my relationship with God. So it sort of gave me an anchor and a filter through which I saw every aspect of success. Financial success, marriage success, relationship success, career success. It gave me boundaries. If someone brought me, if someone was to say, I'm going to give you 1 billion shillings, but I have to be involved in a corrupt deal, that is not success to me. Mm. So it's very clear it does not bring me satisfaction. And I think it's so important that you define it very early on so that when success and wealth comes, they don't disrupt you. Mm. Mm. Yeah, that's why I thought it's important. I packed it there. We say that we start building passive income there, which was addressing the minimum. Mm. If everything was to stop, like the way COVID stopped everything, where would your flow be? is that you should be able to maintain the same lifestyle that you have. And that's why I was insisting you need to live on your passive income, okay? But now in your 30s to 40s, you encounter something, a totally different challenge, which we call the big disruptors of life. Number one is education. This is when making decisions to get married, or you get single moms have gotten children, So education becomes a big play in your finances. And education becomes now the thing that drains your money. Yeah, because you want to take your kid to the best schools. You want to be seen the same clubs that you go to. My kids also go to the same school where your social status, fits you in. So education is one, and now here again you've got to build another portfolio to just target this thing called education. And the idea of wealth is to grow wealth like a staircase. If you create a wealth to 1 million, you should not go below 1 million. You get Now, when you get to 1 million and you start paying big fees, what happens? You start eating. But I discovered the wealthy folks don't do those things, education like that. They create an education fund where the principal produces the fruits and the fruits educate the children. So if they were at 1 million, they remain at 1 million. I did an interesting, we actually, I don't even need to give my own personal example. He said, for every child, on average, now you'll need to spend about 3.4 million shillings.
Yeah.
That is money that will leave your family that you worked hard for. Yeah. That should never be the case. Yeah. You should have a portfolio taking care of that so that money never leaves. The other big disruptor of life is home ownership. People pay big money to own homes, either through mortgage or even buying a plot and building. We, on average now, if you really don't want to live, if you want to live anywhere around Nairobi, you will be lucky to have anything less than 20 million. You will struggle. It will make you understand how 20 million is so small. You get it? So how do you tackle this commitment? Again, is a planning issue. Yeah. So we have a way we start a portfolio that you say, in the next 5 years, we will be at 20 million or 25 billion shillings, and I'll be able to take care of that, and we are done. So you see, you're attacking one component after another. The other big disruptor of life is medical emergency. In fact, the number one cause for family bankruptcies is medical emergencies. I had an incident myself where we were spending $500,000 a day. Wow. $500,000 a day, and you have not ended it. So even it does not matter whether you have a 50 million cover. When your loved one is in the hospital, you show up and you will wipe your lifestyle portfolio, you'll wipe your education portfolio, you will wipe your home ownership portfolio just to take care of this loved one. So again, that's another thing now you also have to build around it. So those are the three I would say. So in your 30 to 40, you play defensive. You play defensive. That your life, the big disruptors of life, when they come in, they will not take you to your starting point or below your starting point. Does that make sense?
Amazing. Yeah.
I think something that's very important is people identifying their personal goals and objectives individually so that you just walk your path. The other that is very critical is to ensure that you have people who have sound financial information, like financial advisors, who can take you through this is where I am, and now I want to move this is where I am, this is my earnings, and so on. so that you are properly advised. Yeah. And I think that's why we said from the beginning they need to have people who social capital, people who can go back to and get some information that you really require. The other one, and I think it has been mentioned, is where, and I've seen it working, where people realize any very increment I have is for investment. Yeah. It may be that I want to open an account to build a house. It may be that I want to open an account for education, and your needs. Yeah. But of course, there's one who had a very good idea, and he said, for me, I always get 10% for myself, not for anybody else, so that I can only enjoy life as I live, as I do other things. I think those are 3 critical things that are important at that age.
There's something she said, I want to give my personal experience. Being an investment professional, I thought I could manage my own portfolio. And I discovered that my clients were all outperforming my personal portfolio because it appears nowhere on my calendar. You get? Yeah. So we had to surrender managing our own portfolio to professionals, even though that is my specialization, because that's not what I wake up to do from morning to evening. And I call that do-it-yourself disease. It's a big disease we have in the country where people want to do, I'm a lawyer and I'm also managing my own funds, I'm a pastor, I'm managing my own funds. Just trust people with their expertise and they will save you so much money. So it's been one amazing learning point for me and very humbling.
They say that amateurs don't have coaches. Only professionals get coaches. So if you want to play the amateur game with money, do it yourself. And we've had a financial manager for years. We've had people that we go to every few months. We show them our scorecard. They tell us, what are you? I thought we agreed on this. It's our goals, but they coach us. And I love what you're saying because I think it's a big risk at this age where you're just sort of doing things in the dark and you don't have a concept. Then also for couples, you find that you don't have mutual goals at this age. It's very easy for you to be running one set of accounts, the other person running. And the Bible says, how can 2 walk together unless they're agreed? And so you find that where you could have actually brought your unity together and built something really strong, that many couples actually end up running subpar and not understanding there's a gift your spouse has that if you could just harness, that would actually take you to the next level.
Yeah, that's an interesting one also. Just from where I sit, we've observed that couples that invest together tend to do far much better than those ones who do it individually. Yeah, the pace of their accumulation of wealth is several multiples of those who do alone.
Amazing. And it's good we come to the couples conversation. One thing I'd like us to spend a little more time with the single parents at this time, the couples, but then also this 30, 40-year-old and their aging parents. What about that? Wow, what an amazing conversation here today. And so much more is going to follow in the month of April. So, see you all in the month of April at
the Financial Literacy Summit.